Good evening and welcome to the Radical Race Series, round 11. The penultimate round takes us to the Circuit de la Sarthe, otherwise known as Le Mans. I am Tom Kent in the contrary position. Alongside me is Jim Cunningham, who will be with me over the course of the next hour and a bit to analyse the action. Just the one race we've got lined up for you tonight compared to the usual format. A 60-minute race will follow a 30-minute qualifying session, and that is very much that. Because of the nature of the circuit, the field will be split into two. The SR10s will be in their own race, and the SR8s will be in their own battle next behind. We expect the SR10s to go first because with their cars more designed for engine power compared to the SR8s, which are designed more on the downforce side of things, it's best for the SR10s to go first. But more on that another time. Let's have a word with Jim Cunningham on what he expects this evening to be. Jim, good evening.
Hey, good evening, Tom. Good to be here with you in the beautiful French countryside. Yeah, I think we're gonna. It's gonna be an interesting race. Obviously, this probably was the toughest circuit for them to balance these cars. I don't know that you could get the two to balance out equally here because of the extremely long straightaways. So I'm pretty sure that's why they're doing the two separate classes, and it will be, if I'm not mistaken, double points. I believe that's correct, right? You were reading all that stuff this morning. Double points, and so just two separate races. So it's gonna keep it fair. You'll have the 10s racing the 10s and the 8s racing the 8s.
Absolutely so, and yes, it is double points, as Jim rightly mentioned. We go into the fact about double points. A little rundown on the championship scores. Simon Edwards, after the last round at Watkins Glen a week ago, he's on 536 points, 59 clear.
Sorry, I got the 8s up. I'm sorry, I did it in that order. I didn't tell you. We didn't have a chance really to talk before the broadcast. So let's do the 8s first here, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Jamie Bird, top of the table in the SR8s, 92 points clear over Stefan Millis, his closest rival. Colin Wynn dropped down to third place after the latest round. He's a further 10 points adrift, likewise for Paul LeMay. Graham Matthew in fifth place on 355. It's Mike Boostle in sixth on 330. Then we've got the likes of Rob Woodward, David Rolliston, Steve Webb, Paul Crubb, Josh Reed, Ewan Stitchbury, and Luke Crowley, rounding out all of those to have scored points so far. In the SL10s, Simon Edwards is at the top of the table by 85 points over Bruno Vitorino. There's Kim Andre Bjorklund in third on 450. He's just a point off Vitorino. Sauli Reitinen is in fourth. He dropped down the position from the last round. 437 points he is on, and 99 off the top. Heinz Braun in fifth place on 383. There's Jorge Gonzaga in sixth on 357. Phil Glover in seventh on 322, with the likes of Luke Crowley, who I believe switched from SR8s to SR10s during some phase of the season. Lars Erik Friedland, Federico Casassa, Lucas Nielsen, and James Barry have all scored so far. And the overall standings, well, it's pretty much what speaks for itself. Simon Edwards top of the table by 59 points over Jimmy Bird, with Bruno Vitorino in third and Kim Andre Bjorklund in fourth position on 450. He's 86 off the top. Then we've got the likes of Sauli Reitinen, who's quite a distance clear over Stefan Millis and Heinz Braun. Paul LeMay, Colin Wynn, George Gonzaga, and Graham Matthews are in their own battle as well. Luke Crowley, Mike Boostle, Phil Glover, Robert Woodward, David Rolston, Lars Erik Friedland, Federico Casassa, Steve Webb, and Paul Crubb have all scored points within the top 20.
So, yeah, I'm looking here at the timing and scoring. I noticed that I'm pretty sure we have a couple of Americans in the series, but obviously no Americans here today. This is, of course, the American holiday, Thanksgiving. So, not surprising. More than likely, by this time of the day, most Americans are fat and full and sleeping on their couch right now. So,
Pop Orange Cunningham saying good evening to you, both of us. Good evening to you, sir. And hope you enjoyed the action. Do get involved in the live chat if you ever so wish to do so. Me and Jim will answer your questions over the course of the broadcast. We've got a 60-minute race lined up for you. Now, to fill you in on the point system, as we get ready for this evening's action, considering it is just one race compared to the usual two that we have. So the point system normally is 30 points for the win, and it's 29 for second. It's a point difference for every position downwards from there, and therefore it's double that. So it will be 60 points for a win, 58 for second, 56 for third. 2-point difference for every position downwards. There's also the bonus points for pole, and the points for fastest lap and the most laps led, and also finishing with 0 times incidents, so no incidents whatsoever in each race if the drivers can help it. The final standings are based on the best 9 scores, so we've done 10 rounds so far, which means the worst score from each driver does not apply to their total. We've got this round here in Le Mans, and then the final round of the season will be in Road Atlanta in a week's time. We'll be returning to the usual format for then. But for now, it's Le Mans, and we've got a brilliant 60-minute race lined up for you, so do not go anywhere.
Yeah, this is. I mean, it's a great circuit. I really enjoy driving here. You know, it's without a big field. Sometimes they can kind of get spread out, and it can get a little less entertaining sometimes. But I think the draft is going to keep a lot of cars in the mix today, because even if you're not quite as quick, if you can catch that toe down these long straights, I think it'll keep different cars in the mix here.
Just to let you know who is setting the pace at the moment, with less than a minute to go now. Kim-Andre Bjorklund is fastest in the SR10s with a time of 3 minutes 46.9, nearly a whole second clear over Simon Edwards. In the SR8s, it's Robert Woodward leading the way in with 3 minutes 49.7. So we expect the SR10s to really have the pace, especially on those long straights, on the Mulsanne straights they are, to really see their power being unleashed. That's why we've got separate rolling starts for the 2 fields. But we are coming towards the end of the qualifying session now, and we're just waiting for the session to transition into the race itself, and we'll be good to go here in Le Mans. So over the line comes Steve Webb, who is 8th overall, but has gone 4th fastest in the Orange Army Racing machine. His latest lap was not an improvement from before, so he remains where he is. And looking at where else everyone is on the circuit, it doesn't seem to be like they're going to be improving their lap times. It's a long lap round here, is the Circuit de la Sarthe, so don't expect any improvements. I think Bjorklund's coming through towards the end of his last lap, and I would say we could well see him maybe set an improvement if he can help the situation, but he doesn't really need to at this point. It's a long way clear over Simon Edwards. But I think we're going to be in for an intriguing race here, Jim. I don't know what to expect, really. There's 2 mandatory pit stops to look out for, which I forgot to mention a little bit earlier. So there's that to factor in for the drivers.
Yeah, it's going to be its own issue. These guys aren't used to making pit stops in these cars, although, most of them obviously have plenty of other racing experience where they do make pit stops. But, that could throw a monkey wrench in the plans, so to speak. Well, all right. Kim's happy. He got pole. No wonder he's happy. So, yeah, the only person left out on track is Stefan Mella, so I would assume that probably means that Kim will have pole. So, yeah, he was doing a little celebrating there with his pole lap, which that's quite a good lap. Almost a full second faster than Simon Edwards. That's pretty good.
And here is Stefan Mella, who's coming towards the last couple of chicanes of the lap. I don't expect an improvement from Stefan Millis. I mean, he's set a 3-minute 55.3, so he may well get an improvement on the board here as he heads over the line. He's 7th in the SR8, and his latest lap is good enough to improve his time, but not his position. A 3-minute 54 for the Belgian.
That should do it right there, I think. We should be jumping into the gridding session here shortly. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. One of the things that struck me, that surprised me, is Robert Woodward, if I'm not mistaken, is driving an SR8 and qualified 4th overall. That's pretty impressive.
It's a very impressive time from Steve Webb in the...
Oh, Woodward, I'm sorry.
SR8.
Did I say Webb?
So, no, you said Woodward. That's my mistake. Yeah, so Woodward up there by quite some margin over Colin Wynn. 1.3 seconds nearly, which is quite a big gap over the next car behind. We should really be transitioning over into the race session, and once we do so, then we can run down on the grid, and then we'll get underway for this 60-minute encounter round here. In terms of the number of laps, we're most likely looking at either 17 or 18 laps. I'd be tempted to say more on the 17 lap side of things. There are two mandatory pit stops involved.
2 pit stops, so that's going to might throw it off by almost a full lap right there.
Yeah, but they'll probably pit in like every 6 laps just to be safe. And then they should be able to make it to the end from there.
Yeah, I imagine this session is taking a minute to switch over just because we're running a different kind of format or something. They may have to actually manually switch it over, just given the nature of the way they had to set this session up or something. That's quite a shot there, isn't it? Down the old Mulsanne straight.
Isn't it just?
Oh, man. I would have loved to... and I'm old enough to have done this. I would have loved to have been able to go back and watch some of the cars run before they, changed and put the chicanes in and all. Well, I guess I'm old enough. Maybe I'm not. I don't. You know what year that they put the chicanes in by any chance? That's kind of your thing. You're a history guy.
I would have a look for you. I think they might have changed it in... I think it might be 2015 or something like that. I'll have to have a look at that and to find out when they...
Oh, I would have thought it was way before that. Okay.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's way before that as well. So I'll do some diving or do some digging.
There we go.
As to why.
Yeah, we got us a grid.
Well, let's have a rundown on the grid so we know who is lined up where. So at the head of the field, Kim Andre Bjorklund is on pole ahead of Simon Edwards with George Gonzaga, Lars Erik Freideland, Bruno Vitorino and Phil Glover make up the 6 drivers in the SR10s. In the SR8s, we've got Robert Woodward, Colin Wynn, Luke Crowley, Steve Webb, Mike Bousson, Graham Matthews, and at the back is Stefan Mellis.
All right, well, they're just about gridded up here. They're not wasting any time now. So apparently we're going to have a rolling start, too, which is different. Not something that we commonly see in this format, so that'll be interesting. Also, something a little different.
So the chicanes, Jim, were brought in 1990.
Okay, that sounds about right.
So you just saw the SR8s pull away, I think, to begin with. Those are the SR10s.
Yeah, the 10s are right behind the pace car, yeah. The 8s are back here. That's Colin Wynn there. So why is Robert Woodward 4th in class when I thought he qualified 1st in class?
I'm not sure
confused.
why he's that. Yeah, I'm a little confused as well. I thought he'd be at the head of that.
To be perfectly honest with you, though, this is essentially an hour-long endurance race around this long track. I don't know that qualifying position makes that much of a difference in class here. There's plenty of time with 2 pit stops for things to change. I'm not too sure that that it really matters that much.
Well, the field are coming through the S's around this course.
I do love
And,
driving here.
I do enjoy it as well.
I'm a big fan of driving around here. I really am.
And there we look to see those SR10s be allowed clear by the pace car. And the exit of the Virage Corvette. And there is the double chicane of Ford and Recordman, which will allow the cars to pull away. The pace car should be going into the pit lane. And, well, I think it might, unless it's pulling off.
Oh, maybe. Oh,
just
there,
after.
Okay. There we go.
That is going in. So we're going to be getting on the way here with the SR10s pulling clear. The lights are on now. And it's green at Le Mans. And so far, it's a good getaway from Kim Andre Bjortland ahead of Simon Edwards in that purple and red livery machine. And it's George Gonzaga on his tail and Lars-Erik Frydeland, one of two Norwegians in the field, the other being at the head of the field. Bruno Fitzgerald in fifth place ahead of Phil Glover, and we see the SR8s being released, and now they are on their way with Colin Wynn at the head of the pack. Robert Woodward down to second place ahead of Luke Crowley and Steve Webb, with Mike Bousson, Graham Matthews and Stefan Millis remaining in single file behind.
Yeah, they got a little more spread out than the SR10s did getting started. So we'll see how that goes. As you can see there, well, oh, here we go. We got action already here. Gonzaga's making a move on Simon down the straightaway.
Yes, Gonzaga goes past Simon Edwards for position. Edwards wasn't expected to fight that one off. There's also a tussle between Frydeland and Fitzgerino coming towards the first of the Mulsanne chicanes. But so far, no dramas involved in the field, although the battle between Frydeland and Fitzgerino refuses to die down. And it's a brilliant Dyson.
Oh,
you can just see the after eights
right there, huh?
Oh, it's a lovely
awesome.
shot.
Yeah, that was awesome with the 10s in one pack and the 8s in another pack before the chicane. That was really cool.
And Woodward's into the lead again, ahead of Colin Wynn, but you can just see that the slipstream effect is going to come into play. There are the SR8s. Colin Wynn going out of the slipstream and down towards the second of the chicanes. He's about to make his way through. Woodward and Wynn continuing to swap positions. There is Wynn on the inside. Wynn on the inside, but Woodward is able to fend him off for now. But these battles are going to continue on and on and on and on and on until we get to the pit stops.
Yeah, this is going to be, there'll be a lot of swapping of positions down these straightaways for sure.
There's Wynn. There's also Luke Crowley in that, who is determined to make a difference in this. Now, I will remind you that double points are on offer in this. 60 points for a win, 58 for second, 56 for third. So you look at the championship standings is in terms of who really needs what. I believe that each class will have its own point system, which makes a lot of sense. In regards to Simon Edwards' situation, he's sitting in third in the SL10s, and he would get 56 championship points if he was to remain where he is. He'll be well clear of Jamie Bird, who is not competing this evening, but Jamie Bird is in a separate class anyway to where Simon Edwards is.
Yes. So that's I'm curious about that. So I guess for overall, I guess that they are going to just whatever points they score today get added to their total. You know, even though they're not really competing against each other today. So be interesting to see how that affects the overall championship a little bit.
That's Edwards going through on Gonzaga, coming towards the end of the first lap. Edwards moves in front. Now we are approaching the 4-minute mark already. This race has flown by, and the first lap has only just been done by the SR10s, with Bjortland leading the way. Edwards second is Gonzaga. Frydeland, who's another 4 seconds back from Gonzaga. And then it is Glover and Vitorino. Further back in the SR8s, we've got Colin Wynn, who is just ahead of Robert Woodward, with Luke Crowley, Mike Bousson, Steve Webb all nose to tail, and there's a little bit of a gap back to Graham Matthews and Stefan Millis. Everyone's behaved so far, Jim.
Yeah, which, there's so much room here and there's so much track that, I don't expect to see too many car-on-car incidents. More than likely, what we're going to see is probably single car incidents, like going into the, well, I'm horrible with these turns around here, but the turn right before you get to the Dunlap bridge thing, that's a good place for them to spin, or going into one of the chicanes where they carry a little too much speed in there or something like that. At least that's typically where I spin around here. So based on personal knowledge, those are my spots.
Side by side between Crowley and Woodward on the first of the Mulsanne straights. So we'll have a look at the SR10s again. You can just see there is a distinctive gap between each of them, although there is a battle going on right at the back of the SR10s between Phil Glover and Bruno Fitzarino. Fitzarino is the one behind, and Glover in that white livery machine is about to make his, well, I say he's about to make his way through. He's trying to defend the position from the Brazilian, who is not able to make his move that time around, and so he pulls back behind Glover on this occasion, and so you have to wait a little bit longer. Nearly 6 minutes into this one, and in terms of laps, I mentioned, or I think there's going to be about 17 laps, but there are the 2 mandatory pit stops involved. Robert Woodward going back through ahead of Colin Wynn for the lead in the SR8, with Crowley making the most of Wynn's mistake, and that's going to allow Buson and Webb to loom in. A nice 5-way battle for the lead in the SR8s.
To be honest with you, I'm shocked. I really thought the 10s were probably going to provide the better battle this evening. And as it turns out, right now we've got 5 of the five of the 7 SR8s are all still stuck together, within a second or so of each other.
At the back, you've got Matthews and Millis tossing over 6th position in class. In the foreground, you can just see a 5-way battle for the lead still.
No, okay. I thought Graham Matthew might have been in one of those orange army cars too. He's just not. Look at this, would you? 2 by 2 going. That's awesome.
A drag race down to Indianapolis. This is that's Buson goes straight on. He missed his braking point and went into the gravel trap, but he's back on the circuit now anyway, ahead of Matthews and Millis. And it's come down to a 4-way battle between the likes of Woodward, Wynn, Crowley and Webb. It'd be amazing if Steve Webb can make his way through the field, but of course he has to play the long game. It's not won in the opening stages. Phil Glover at the back of the SR10s, still going at it with Bruno Fitzarino. And I think other than the 4-way battle in the SR8, I think the gaps are beginning to develop between those in the field.
Yeah, they're starting to spread out, which is very typical around here. This is not that sprint race kind of track, where you're going to have them all jammed up on top of each other. Normally, that being said, well, even this is starting to kind of open up a little bit here in the SR8s, just a little.
Well, they'll be heading through single file around this part of the course of Ford and Recordman. So far, no one's making any form of error apart from Mike Buson doing so at Indianapolis. Buson will be getting back into play. He's got all the time in the world to get back to the rear of this quadruple pack, fighting over the honours in the SR8s. But there is still a whole lot more to come. As far as this race is concerned, we've also got the last round at Road Atlanta, which is staged in its last encounter of the Radical race series for the last time in 2025.
That should be a good track for this series to close out on. Road Atlanta, obviously a classic Petit Le Mans, track in the United States. Elevation changes, some really wicked elevation changing curves and stuff like that. Should be a good test for the cars. I think it's going to be it's one of those tracks where we always talk about it, where there's just certain track car combinations that seem to to be more entertaining than others maybe. And I would, at least in my thought process, I think that that's going to be an entertaining combo.
We're on lap number 3, approaching the 10-minute mark here at Le Mans. Of course, home of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which its latest event this year saw Ferrari make it a hat-trick of Le Mans victories. Now, we await the 2026 event, which will be staged next year in June, which is one to very much look forward to. Of course, I mean, bearing in mind, we've got the World Cup that's been staged happening in North America, which could make things a little bit tricky in terms of audience figures. But sometimes
the only time when Americans care about soccer or football, as you call it, that's about the only time when America's when they're doing the World Cup. That's about the only time Americans really tune in. Other than that, we don't.
Well, of course, it's going to be a long tournament as well in the World Cup, with it being 48 teams involved, which is the biggest ever format for the World Cup since it first started in 1930, which of course will celebrate its centenary anniversary when the World Cup is held in Portugal, Spain and Morocco, and the likes of, I think it's Argentina, Paraguay and Uruguay that are hosting a match each to celebrate the anniversary. Uruguay, of course, were the team that won the first ever FIFA World Cup in 1930. So we celebrations all round in 2030. But we'll keep in touch with the action of what's in front of us here. We do try to have things to talk about whilst the race is calming down. But Colin Wynn is under attack from Luke Crowley for second place. Crowley pulling out of the slipstream, but no way through at the moment on his fellow countryman. Robert Woodward still.
Pop Orange says in the comments, he said it would be good to see Wynn or Woodward take a victory. I agree, and I believe that this is the kind of track that can throw up a bit of a surprise winner. That would be fun. It's really going to come down to how they navigate these pit stops. That's going to make such a huge factor. If you make a mistake on pit road, speeding or something like that, or unsafe pit entry or any of that kind of stuff. And also just, how well you navigate getting into your box and not overshooting your box and having to back up and things like that. So it'll be curious to see how, because we don't get to see that in this series, so that'll be fun.
Drivers begin their fourth lap in the race. And just see that Bruno Fittipaldi is on the tail of Friedland for fourth place in the SR10s. And there is Friedland, who will be under attack shortly. You can see that the amount of brake horsepower these SR10s have compared to the SR8s are nothing in comparison. Hence why the SR10s had their own rolling start compared to the 8s. But we can just see Fittipaldi, who has left Glover for dead, and now he's focusing his attention on getting by Friedland. And I don't know how far he's able to go should he get by him, because he's got a long way to catch up to Gonzaga in third position.
Yeah, pretty decent gap there, about 8 seconds. It's funny how quick these gaps can develop here, isn't it?
It's incredible, I have to say, but it doesn't surprise me one bit, because once the race dies down and people learn where their strengths are around the circuit, the gaps do begin to develop, and it's essentially a long race from there. But it's not the same, or the same cannot be said there in the battle for the SR8 win at the moment, because Woodward is under attack from Wynn, who is going for it at the second chicane here, and Wynn is through on Woodward. If Wynn gets the car slowed down, Woodward remains within range to get back ahead by the time we come out of the Virage Mulsanne, and he should be able to make the pass work here on the inside, but he has to watch out for Luke Crowley as well, because he will be fancying his chances, and they'll keep it clean from here in. Mike Bousson is on the tail of Steve Webb. Webber's dropped back from these three. He's focusing on his race to get as far as he can, but he's not too far away from the leaders, so it's not all doom and gloom for Steve Webb at the moment.
So apparently, Pop Orange in the YouTube chat is our good friend Paul LeMay. He's apparently he's trying to go incognito there, but then he called himself out, so I guess he's not. But yeah. So we got Paul LeMay in chat. I think he decided not to race this one today. It's a bit of a grinder, I think.
Through goes Woodward for the lead at Indianapolis. Wynn is having to settle behind, but we expect the positions to change. Oh, that's contact there between Woodward and Wynn over at the Virage d'Arnage. And Luke Crowley is just waiting in the wings at the moment to take advantage, but no way through just yet between those. Well, for Crowley at the moment. We want to keep it clean. It is a long race. We're now a quarter of the way through this one. This race has flown by absolutely. You could just see when we're going too deep into Porsche. And that was all the invitation that Wynn needed to move back in front.
I'm still disappointed I haven't got a message from Luke about his disappointing not Racer X paint scheme. You're going to go for those colors, Luke. Should have been Racer X. Oh.
We've got the first pit stops of the race. Bruno Vitorino has come in, and I think the car behind him, Colin Wynn is in. I was going to say Phil Glover, but Phil Glover has continued on. So, an attempt of an undercut, I think, for some of these, particularly Colin Wynn, who's determined to make the most of the track position that he'll have, considering that there's not a lot of cars in the field. He's got a good chance of coming out in some clean air here, I think. Will Colin Wynn.
Yeah, just see him as they pull in here, and no struggles as far as their box goes. I don't see any black flags, so that must mean they got safely in, so that's good. We'll jump back out of the action on track. I just wanted to watch a little bit of the pit stop since we don't ever see these guys do that.
You see Steve Webb and Mike Busson further up ahead. Rob Woodward and Luke Crowley for the lead in the SR8s. Busson on the Mulsanne straight is going to go through on Steve Webb, I think, on this occasion. By the time they get to the chicane, which they're coming up to very, very shortly, Busson will have the inside line for that. It should be good enough for him to move through without any dramas. And so Busson moves in front, and Webb has to yield that time around. But I think Webb cleverly decided that it wasn't worth fighting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in a way it's kind of similar to what those Indy cars do. Those Indy car guys are pretty famous for that, where they'll draft each other and pass, kind of pull each other along. I forget what they call it. They got a term for it, but LeMay comments saying fantastic battle in the SR8s, and it really is. We've multiple battles. Although now we've got a little action heating up here at the front of the SR10 field as well.
That's Bjorklund and Edwards for the honours in that class. And I wonder if these two will decide to put in this lap, because it is a long lap and there's not a lot of choices as to which laps you decide to make your pit stop, because it is a fixed fuel setup as far as you can go, really, with the fuel around here. Hence why we've got this mandatory 2 pit stop rule. But we'll see soon enough whether this lap may be the lap that Bjorklund and Edwards will come in. But those that decide to stay out there for a little bit longer, they're thinking more about having the fresher tyres. And one lap fresher tyres could be all of what makes the difference between victory and not.
Yeah, maybe. It's certainly at a lot of tracks that's absolutely true. I don't know that is as true here, just because of the long straights. You know, the tire wear here is not horrible. And I noticed the first 2 guys did not take tires. It did not look like to me. That we watched pit in. I don't believe they took tires.
Well, these two we are looking at could well be making their way into the pit lane in the near future. Well, they don't do on this lap.
Nope.
So they're continuing on for another tour. Bjorklund and Edwards.
My thought on that is if you've got another lap in you, the lighter the car is, from fuel load, the faster the lap's going to be, you know? So in theory, you'd want to run the car as close to empty as possible. Now, George Gonzaga is pitted here. Let's see him come in. Let's just see if he's gonna take tires or not. I'm doubting anybody really will.
Luke Crowley in as well. He's had enough of the tussling he's had with Rob Woodward and wants to try and get out ahead of his rival, who had pitted the lap before, Colin Wynn. Will be coming through the last sector. Where is Colin Wynn? He must be coming towards the chicanes, if not the S's. There is Colin Wynn. He's at the S's now. He's going to be close, I think. But I would still say that Luke Crowley will get out ahead of him.
We shall see here. As I don't think Crowley's moving yet. No, he's still there. These things aren't the fastest to fuel up. You know, it seems like it's a pretty slow fuel up on these things compared to a lot of cars.
Out goes Crowley, is a long way clear of Colin Wynn. Long way clear. So saying that extra lap has helped Crowley remain in front of Wynn. I think when you're on the heavier fuel load, you're going to be at a disadvantage on the straights. So for once, staying out the extra lap or two is the more effective route.
I thought you were about to say, for once, Jim was right. I really did think you were going to say that. I was fully expecting you to go, well, for once, Jim was right. That would have been funny. You missed your opportunity.
But you were right. Yeah.
Yes, but you missed your opportunity for that good joke. Your comedy writer must not be here this week. We had you were on a roll the other day with your puns.
I had a nap earlier, Jim, because I had an earlier wake up this morning, so I'm not quite in the comedy mood like I was the other night.
Not fresh like you were the other night. Oh, that was funny though. Yeah, I really did though. I was fully expecting you to say for once Jim was right. I was like, okay, all right, he's got one. He's got a good one. I would have done that, so.
Here are Woodward and Bousson. Now, Bousson and Woodward haven't pitted yet. That is Woodward going through. So that can't be an S then.
No.
Sorry, that's Bjorklund. Sorry, that's not. I'm just looking carefully. It is Woodward. Woodward is coached up to Phil Glover.
I think that's Glover.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
So I don't know where Glover's lost the time, but he's a long way back, and Woodward all of a sudden has caught up to him. But I think Glover might have made a pit stop though, Jim. So that could well. No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't yet. Phil Glover.
This is the hardest track because this thing's got like 37 sectors. It really doesn't. It's only 7, but still. No, he hasn't pitted yet. I'm looking to see if I can see anything where he had a little boo-boo somewhere, but I don't see it.
Well, it's going side by side, but when they get to the corners, that's where the SR8s will thrive in. Glover may have to be kind and let Woodward go here and just get on with his own race, because when he's battling with other drivers, especially through the corners like Porsche, etc., that's when the time is very much going to be lost, and he'll be coming in for his first pit stop soon. And most of those.
Also, Woodward being the leader of that class, you know, messing with Phil Glover, slowing him down. Maybe this is, well, he didn't, but may also say maybe this is a time where he decides to pit just to, you know, hang on to it there. You know, just to get away from Phil so that he's not being kind of held up, you know, or having to deal with a fight. But it looks like he's clear of him now.
So it's into the lead. He's just got by Kim-Andre Bjorklund before the Mulsanne straight.
Yeah, let's look at that.
Graham Matthews is the latest to come into the pit lane.
Let's look at Simon's. Yeah, there we go. My famous quarter speed. Almost like Kim just kind of let him go there.
Yeah, that was a planned move there from Bjorklund. I don't think that was a mistake of which he had done in his part. Simon Edwards was kindly allowed through, and now Bjorkland's back ahead. So it's like an exchanged position. It's almost like after you, after you, after you, or to me, to you, to me, to you.
Well, I mean, technically, if they executed that properly, you, in theory, can get around the track faster doing that, because they suck each other along, and then they swap spots, and it just kind of continues to happen as one pulls up to the other one. They just keep doing that. Those Indy cars are famous for doing that, but yeah, I don't know. I would be an interesting strategy. I mean, no reason not to. Then you just narrow the battle down to the two of you for the last lap, as you pull away from the field. But of course, these guys are waiting to pit. They are they're running these tanks. They're going to run these tanks as dry as possible. So I wouldn't surprise me at all to see a really fast lap in here. Although, let's see. I'm just looking at their last laps.
Oh, that's a mistake from Edwards. Going through the Virage Mulsanne corner, but has got away with it. But nevertheless, they are absolutely enjoying themselves on the racetrack before they come in for their first pit stops. Some of them, Bjorkland and Edwards are some of those that haven't pitted yet. So the ones that are pitted are those in the SR10s. George Gonzaga and Bruno Vittorino have pitted. And in the SR8s, Luke Crowley, Colin Wynne and Graham Matthews have all made their first stops.
Let's see. Let me see if I got something I can pull up here. Let's take a look at... No, don't put it over. This shows what lap they pitted on, but that's not everyone that has pitted, is it? No.
No, I don't know what that graphic is to the right hand of the
well, it's supposed
to
be what lap they pitted on, but it only shows that 3 of them have pitted, which is obviously not accurate. I don't know.
The leads are coming towards the end of the lap that they are on.
Hold on, I know why. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The leaders are coming towards the end of the lap. Bjorkland and Edwards, they are. Will either of them decide to pit in this lap? Well, Bjorkland doesn't. Edwards does. So Edwards takes the opportunity to come in to attempt to get by Bjorkland in an undercut. Bjorkland decides to remain out there for another lap. So amazingly, we're going to see at least 8 laps on the first stint for some of these, which could come in handy later for when they complete their second stops. They'll have less laps to do on the fuel load that they are on, and they're going to be at an advantage, Jim.
Yes. But it is a mandatory 2 stops. There's no way they can save enough fuel and only do a 1-stopper, right? It is a mandatory 2-stop race. Is that correct?
It is, yeah.
You know what, Paul? Since Paul's out there watching the race live and chatting with us, when you're not going to race like this and you're going to watch, you should just come in and join us in the booth and bring a little of your insight along. It's not like you have to do play-by-play commentary. You could just come in and join us, and we could ask you some insightful questions that you would have the answers to in the future if this type situation arises again.
There we see Mike Bousson in... where is he in the field? He's second in the SR8s.
Yeah,
he's Bousson behind
Phil, yeah.
And Steve Webber's coming to the pits now for his first stop.
So we've got all of our leaders still, of course, have not pitted. That's why they're the leaders. But it shouldn't be long now. I can't imagine them going much longer than this 8th lap here.
We'll see soon enough. That's Phil Glover being overtaken again by the SR8s. So I think he's really beginning to struggle now, is Phil Glover. I don't know if that's fatigue or anything like that, but the SR8s are beginning to, the only saving grace for Phil Glover is that these Mulsanne straights, yeah. But when they go through the corners, that's when Mike Bousson will just take advantage, because there's no way Phil Glover's been able to fend it off
No.
So you can see they're going through the chicane now. Busan will get a good drive out here. He'll get into the slipstream for a bit, but eventually Phil Glover's horsepower will become too superior and he'll end up pulling away again.
That's what his buddies used to say about him when they were chasing ladies way back in the day. Phil's horsepower would just take advantage. They didn't know how to handle it. I love Phil. He's the best. He did say we could pull him in at any point in time if we wanted to, but we won't do that just yet. Maybe later in the race we will. He did come in before the race and say we could pull him in and have some fun with him on these long straightaways.
Yeah, I mean, maybe after the first round of stops are done, then we can get a word with him for a few minutes just to get an idea as to what it's like driving these machines around here, particularly in SR10, because what I want to know is what is exactly the difference in brake horsepower between the SR8s and the SR10s and why we're seeing the pace. And that is Stefan Millis going side by side with one of the SR10s as well. That might be, is it Bruno Vitorino that he's tussling with there?
Yeah, that is Vitorino, yes.
Millis remains behind for now. He may decide to wait until the bends to make his move. Kim-Andre Bjorklund is now into the pit lane a lap after Simon Edwards.
Be interesting to see how that shakes out.
We're now at the halfway point in this one. I did estimate that it would be 17 laps, but it feels more like 16 if you were to include the amount of time being lost in the pit stops for each of the drivers. Friedland is now in, and we should expect Phil Glover to do the same.
So and Woodward is also in. So yeah, this looks like this is max laps here, right? So everybody's coming in, yeah. So Simon is effectively the leader, assuming on track. Let's see, as Bjorklund it's going to be close here. There's Bjorklund coming out. So staying out helped Bjorklund a little, because they were essentially running nose to tail. Well, of course, by the time we get down the Mulsanne straight, they'll be nose to tail again, probably.
Phil Glover wasn't able to slow down in time, hence why he's been given a penalty.
Oh, no.
In regards to how severe the penalty will be, I'm not 100% sure on that.
Should be, if it's a speeding on pit road penalty, entering pit road should be 40 seconds, I believe.
Which Phil Glover will serve at his pit stop before he is released. Down the Mulsanne straight we come between Kim-Andre Bjorklund and Simon Edwards. George Gonzaga is now in third place. Bruno Vitorino and Lars-Erik Friedland have made up positions at the expense of Phil Glover, who remains in the box for the time being. I think Phil Glover now is going to end up being in a battle with the SR8s, if anything. And I think there's also a black flag for Stefan Millis for the same reason, so he's going to drop to the back of the pack in that.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, I just think that these are, this is the kind of situation where guys who don't race a lot of classes that require pit stops, getting on and off pit roads, its own set of issues that you certainly have to practice. And that's one thing that a lot of guys overlook. Was you see Simon really closing up on Bjorklund there, which is no surprise down these long straightaways. Pitting, if you don't practice it, it can catch you off guard coming in at those high rates of speed. We all hit that toe back to the pit button and during practice, and we don't come in and try these practice pit stops, and really should.
You're watching the penultimate round of the Radical Race Series here at Le Mans, a different format to what they usually go with. They would have a sprint and a feature. Tonight it's a 60-minute encounter with double points on offer. Throughout the season, from when they first started, looking at the schedule once again, they went to Motorsports Park in Canada on the 18th of September, then we went to Silverstone on the historic Grand Prix layout, we went to Imola, followed by Detroit, at Belle-Isle, Algarve, which is Portsmouth, Zandvoort, Mid-Ohio, Hockenheim, Monza, last week in Watkins Glen, and tonight being Le Mans. We go to Road Atlanta for the season finale in a week's time.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that Road Atlanta race. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, this is the closest battle we've got on circuit between Bjorklund and Edwards. Everyone's just pretty much spread out now. I mean, the next closest is between Mike Bousson and Colin Wynn for third place in the SR8.
Yeah, and our best battle on track just happens to be for first and second.
And despite that off he had at Indianapolis, Bousson's recovered nicely, and he's putting together some consistent laps. And it feels like he's got his act together and actually started to look at the situation and begins to close in on Luke Crowley. But he's still got Colin Wynn close to him before we start to see the second round of pit stops. The leaders have just started their 10th lap. And if you look at the likes of Gonzaga, who came in at the end of lap 5, Colin Wynn was the first to come to pit in at the end of lap 4. And he is expected to be making his second pit stop. It could be at the end of the lap that the leaders are doing, or maybe even lap 11, depending on how far he's prepared to go.
I'm sorry, I got caught up here and looking at these beautiful blimp shots of this wonderful track. Man, this place is so impressive when you look at it from way up in the sky like that. Especially here going down the Mulsanne Straight. Look at this. Place is phenomenal.
24 Hours of Le Mans has been around since 1923, I believe it is. I think it was 1923. Celebrated its 100th anniversary a couple of years back. But since then, it's been an absolute hallmark, one of the best motorsport events to watch across the whole year.
What year was the horrible accident? Do you know that? I want to say it was
1955.
I was going to say early 50s. Yeah, I know that a lot of races got canceled that year after Le Mans, just because of what happened here. But I want to say wasn't it like, I don't know. I don't want to say that can't be accurate though. I want to say like 80 people got killed, but that's not right, huh?
No, I think it is correct. I mean, I can have a look for just to make sure, but I would say probably around about 85, something like that. 82 were killed,
82
including
people.
including driver Pierre Levy. 81 spectators were killed, or at least 81 spectators were killed. Non-fatal injuries, at least 120.
Wow. And I'm sure that, most people have probably seen footage of that. It was quite horrific, man. I mean, that was back in the days when it was just pretty much hay bales separating the track and the crowd and stuff. And yeah, that was a bad deal there.
Shall we get a word with Phil Glover and ask him how he's in the interview room now?
Is he? Yeah, let's put him in here. He's out here strolling along on his own. Let's pull him in.
We'll get a word with Phil Glover to ask how his race has been getting on. Phil, you did have to serve that penalty for presumably speeding in the pit lane, but other than that, how do you think your race has gone so far?
Well, it was going all right up until that point. I mean, 40 seconds is a long time to make up. I know it's a big track, but everybody's going at the same speed. It's hard work, so a little bit frustrated about that, but I'm just working on trying to catch Graham. I don't know whether he's holding me off at about similar pace at the moment, so we'll wait and see.
What have you noticed with these SR10s around here, and what have you picked up from? Because we knew that on the Mulsanne Straights, the SR10s were going to have an enormous advantage, but what do you think the SR8s have got in their locker in terms of the strengths they have? Because they're going to be quicker through the corners, but have you noticed something that you maybe didn't anticipate beforehand with them?
Not really. They're quite fast in all the bends, to be honest. I only seem to be quick down the straights. So, yeah.
Well, so
It's how I expected it, to be honest.
so what did happen to you there? You just didn't get it woed down enough coming into the pits and just got in there a little too fast.
I think somebody else was behind me as well, so I think that just sort of maybe just took my eye. I was looking at them in the mirror, I think. I thought I'd slowed down in time, but I obviously didn't.
Did you practice pit stops coming into this race since you don't normally do them?
No.
I see.
Only once in practice, so it's probably my own fault, to be fair.
Well,
it's not something I tend to drive at all nowadays in the Radical.
Yeah, no, you never. And we always use that tow button to get back to the pits. While we've got you here, Phil, I'm put you on hold for a split second there, and I'm going to show.
Sure.
Looks like Colin Wynn has had an incident. I want to go and see what that was. We'll be right back with you.
Yeah, no worries.
This is over with Mike Bousson towards the end of that. This is over at the Ford chicane where Wynn has, many will say it's not there actually, it's the recordment chicane. Just went a little too deep and carried too much speed into the chicane. It's only a minor incident, but he's back on track anyway.
A lot of gravel on track right there. That may cause somebody else some fits coming up in the future. But yeah, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Where's the gravel, Jim?
Yeah, I'm not telling. I'm not revealing any secrets. But you're past it already, though. So you're good for a whole nother lap. So.
It just proves it doesn't make any difference to me. I didn't even notice it.
Well, we appreciate you coming in and chatting with us, and we'll let you get your head down and get after Graham. He's getting away a little bit there, probably because we're chatting with you though. So we'll let you
I don't know.
Put your head down and dig in there and make up some spots.
Yeah. Okay. See you in a bit.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later.
Phil Glover running in 6th position in the SR10s. He's now in the battle with the SR8s after having to serve that penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Kim Andre Bjortland, meanwhile, has got Simon Edwards still on his tail, as they have been glued to each other from the start, even through the pit stops, and they are dicing it out for honours here in France.
These two have really, honestly, let me see something here. These two have really, honestly been... I'll say Bjorklund has really turned into a surprise of this season in the several things that we see him race in. He really seems to be finding his pace quite nicely,
He's certainly found his rhythm with this machine, has Bjorklund, over the course of the campaign. And to remind you of where Bjorklund is in the standings, overall, he is sitting in 4th place on 450 points. Now, he's on course to leapfrog Vittorino, with Vittorino further down the order. He's just made his 2nd pit stop as Vittorino whilst we were speaking to Phil Glover. But Bjorklund is set for 2nd place in the SR10's drivers' standings, with Jamie Bird, with Bruno Vittorino down the order. He's got a job. He's got a good opportunity to outdo him here, but of course there are the best scores to consider. The best 9 out of 12 across the whole season can be applied, but I think with it being Le Mans and double points on offer, I think everyone else is going to have this score to be counted within the best 9.
So, apparently Vittorino's on a bit of a different strategy here, and I'm looking, he currently is 1 minute 10 seconds behind the leaders, and when you factor in the whole pit road time, let's see, what is it taking these guys to do a pit stop? Roughly around 55 to a minute, roughly. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll see. I think he's planning on just getting his pit stops out of the way and putting his head down and getting after it. George
Gonzaga, Luke Crowley, and Mike Bousson came into the pit lane at the end of lap 11. So they'll be going to the end from there now. These two.
We know these two are probably going to wait till the last second and take a splash of gas, more than likely.
A lap of nearly 4 minutes for these cars. So they're going to have to be wary as to when they decide to pit in. I mean, they'll be wary of the time. I would probably say, I did say 17 laps to begin with, but I'm cutting it down to 16 because I don't think they're going to get enough time to get over the line before the 1 hour mark eclipses. It feels like Bjorklund's pulling away now, Jim, because I think Edwards has not had the best of laps on this one. It feels like he's just backing off from his squabble with him a little bit.
Yeah, a little.
And
we'll see what that all means. He's definitely back further than he's been in a long time, several laps. I have to say, you and I've covered, other radical races here, and while we haven't had a ton of on-track action today, this one does seem to be moving along at a nice pace, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't seem as slow as some other races have at Le Mans in the past. We've clicked off 45 minutes here like it was nothing,
Yeah, I mean, it's flown by this race, actually, considering the number of cars we've got in the field. Steve Webber's closing in at the moment on Colin Wynn. So after Colin Wynn's error, Webb is right on his tail. Although I say that, Webb's made a mistake at the second of the Mulsanne chicanes. And there goes that squabble.
Yeah, that's going to certainly hurt him there for a few laps. And he's got Vitorino behind him closing at a pretty good clip as well. In a faster car, or at least in a higher horsepower car anyway. So for those of you who know Steve Webb, he's part of the Orange Army racing team. Oh, he's run wide there as well. That's going to probably allow Vitorino to run him down here on the straightaway. Steve Webb is a marshal, and he just finished working the Formula One Grand Prix in Las Vegas, and Simon Edwards has decided to go ahead and pit now. If you follow the Monday series that we broadcast here on JPB, it's the SR8 Radical series, and Webb is a regular along with. There's 3 or 4 other Orange Army Racing Marshall guys in that series as well. And we've got a little surprise that we've got to show everyone. So I'm not going to really reveal what it is, but it is regarding the Orange Army and the Marshals. And I think it'll be entertaining for people. So if you get the chance and you want to jump over there and run that race and get to participate and see the surprise, I think it'll be kind of fun for everyone. And if you're just a spectator, then enjoy that. And as Webb is trying to hang on to Vitorino here, those 2 mistakes have really hurt him on that a little bit. Apparently a commentator cursed him without even knowing I was doing it. He decided to go ahead and pit, as is Colin Wynn, I believe that is, coming in.
It is. Both of them in from second and third in the SR8s. Robert Woodward's remains out there. I think it's kind of a given he's going to end up winning this because he's got a comfortable margin over Wynn and Webb, and Booston's a long way back, who's already pitted. So Woodward on course for the SR8 victory. Bjorklund had a slowdown on his latest lap, hence why he's lost time. And Simon Edwards, in terms of where he's filtered back out, he's just under a couple of seconds behind Lars-Erik Friedland in third position. So Edwards has got some work to do here to perform an undercut on Bjorklund. Will he be able to do it this lap, though? I wonder.
Well, he wasn't but a second or so behind when he pitted, so he doesn't have that much, relatively speaking. But again, Bjorklund's out there lapping on lighter fuel. Let's see. Bjorklund's last lap was the fastest lap of the race by any car. So he took great advantage of Simon pitting and him being on light fuel load. He went out and ran the fastest lap of the race, a 3:47.61. which, if I'm not mistaken, that is faster than his qualifying time, I believe, and he was on pole. I'm gonna go double check that just because I can. Let's see.
Either way, so
3:46.9 was his. Okay, no, 3:46.9 was his qualifying time. Okay, so not quite as fast.
nevertheless, it's a strong lap
Strong lap.
From Bjorn, who is close to coming in for his final trip to the pit lane. Simon Edwards is concerned to get the gap done on Friedland. He will not want to be stuck behind him during the course of this lap.
Well, I got to believe Friedland's going to pit on this lap. He almost, well, I guess he doesn't have to, but I would have thought he was going to. I think we could see Bjorklund drag this out one more lap, potentially.
And the lighter fuel load as well, when you think of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily the worst play, you know.
And there we see the battle for second place on track. Edwards has pitted twice. Friedland has pitted only the once. A mandatory 2 pit stop rule for this event tonight. We would normally be doing a sprint race and a feature race, but tonight we've been Le Mans. It's a 1 hour event with double points on offer. Bjorklund has decided to continue on for another lap. So you called it there, Jim. He feels there's still more left in there. It was a 3:48 he just posted that time around. We'll see what Edwards is doing on this lap, because the previous lap he came in for, I think, was an out lap. So this will be a more relevant comparison between Edwards, who is challenging Bjorklund for the win, and
well, he's being held up right now, though, by, oh, there goes Friedland bailed, so so that opened it up for Simon. Let's see.
The slipstream will have helped him gain time, though, Jim. That's my argument. And
sure.
he's going to head over the line, and it is it's showing a 4:19. So I think that might have been the outlet that Edwards did.
Yeah,
but we could have a look on the last sectors of the lap, just to maybe compare how he got on compared to.
Let me see if I can figure out how to pull up sectors. That's its own issue.
It's not major, I don't think, but he has lost time in the last sector. I can tell you that. But now that Friedland's out of the way, Edwards can go about his business and go after Bjorklund, who we expect to come into the pit lane at the end of this lap.
Yeah, Bjorklund and Simon's last sector times were almost identical. The last couple, they're very close, within a 1/10 of a second of each other through most of those. Which again is not surprising, but I think when it's all said and done, I think that that Bjorklund going for the overcut, I guess you would call it in this case, is probably going to be beneficial, because tires are not crucial here, and you know, so the lighter fuel load is probably going to pay off for Bjorklund, and that may be enough to decide this race when it's all said and done, since they were so close.
That's 8 minutes remaining here in Le Mans, and so we've got 2 more laps to go at the end of this one. If we look at Bjorklund, where he is around the circuit, he is currently over, I think it's just coming towards Indianapolis now. And when he goes over the line, whether it be for a pit stop or going on for another lap, there'll just be 2 laps remaining. So it'll have to be at the end of this lap or at the end of the next one for Bjorklund to make his final stop.
Well, wait a minute. This is showing that Simon is only 38 seconds behind him.
That's because he's made 2 pit stops.
Right. So when Bjorklund pits, he can't do a pit stop in 38 seconds.
He can do a shorter one.
Well,
because there's only 2 laps left.
The shortest that we've had so far was a 47-second pit stop. Can he shorten it by that much? I mean, I can't see why not. I know it's going to be a splash of gas, but this is going to be interesting. We still may. Oh, hang on there. All right, so yeah, well, that'll be interesting to see. Anything else? Let's see what Paul's got. Oh, I agree 100%. Paul's talking about he feels like Interlagos would have been a much better choice for the endurance race. He says it's a shame that the race is strung out like this. But that's, Paul's 100% right. I would have been jumping for joy if this would have been at Interlagos instead of here, just because of that factor. I mean, Le Mans has the cool factor to it, just because. But Bjorklund is in, by the way, for his pit stop, as Simon is making his way around.
Let's just stay with Bjorklund, just see how long the pit stop will be for him. So he's stopping the box now, and I expect this to be very, very short.
It ain't that short. Ooh.
That's like 8 seconds.
Simon's gonna get him, man.
No, he's not.
Oh, is he?
No, he's so far back. He's too far back. He's Simon Edwards, and Bjorklund's got him.
Yep.
So the gap is actually bigger than what it was before the second round of pit stops between the top two.
Yep. 4 seconds. 4 seconds with 5 minutes, a little less than 5 minutes to go in this.
And Kim-Andre Bjorklund is on course for victory at Le Mans. Everyone has done their last pit stops here. And the look set to the finish. And Robert Wood was on course for the victory in the SR8s.
Indeed, yeah.
Ahead of Mike Bousson, who's come through the field nicely in second place with Luke Crowley and Steve Webb. No one has stopped on circuit or any that are not going to be finishing, which is good to see. Phil Glover's at the back. Out of everyone, overall, after having to serve that stop and go penalty.
Who else was it that got a penalty? It was
Stefan Mellis.
Oh, it was Mellis? Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, Woodward is pretty comfortable. 13 seconds. I can't see that getting overcome. To be honest, I can't see. It'd be very tough for Simon to overcome 4.5 seconds on Bjorklund, considering they're both, relatively equally fast, so I don't be interesting to see if he can. He really needs a little tiny mistake from Bjorklund somewhere, a little off track or having to lift because it twitches or something.
Down the back straight, or the last of the Mulsanne straights, for Kim-Andre Bjorklund for the penultimate time in this one. And Simon Edwards is now just under 5 seconds behind in their fight for the win here. Rob Woodward is 13 seconds clear over Mike Bousson. And the closest battle we've got on circuit really is either between Webb and Wynn or Bousson and Crowley, but the gap is like under 4 seconds between those battles. So the drivers are settled down now to the finish and happy enough to just get the points on the board and call it an evening for a lot of these.
Yeah, I don't honestly see, barring a mistake, I don't see one single battle on track that's going to change position before this race ends. Bjorklund's actually pulling the gap larger on Simon. He's flying, though. He's had a great race. He really has.
He's had a brilliant one from start to finish, as Kim-Andre Bjorklund.
I mean, he took such advantage of that light fuel load when Simon went into pit. He put down the fastest lap of the race, by a pretty decent margin, which opened this gap up for him. It was really brilliant. Well timed on his part, He's out there running now in pretty clean air. There's no cars around him anywhere. Yeah, this is just a fantastic win. It's going to be a fantastic win for him, barring an incident.
And the Norwegian is about to start his final lap of the race in what's been a commanding drive and a very mature one from Bjorklund, part of the Sim Racing Norway squad, along with Lars Erik Friedland, who's on the brink of a 5th place finish in class. He's 3.5 seconds behind Bruno Fitterini. He's getting the gap down on him, actually, is Friedland. Looking at the lap comparisons, although the last lap is irrelevant because the last lap he did was an outlap compared to Fitterini, so we're not going to get a direct comparison on that. but we'll do maybe at the beginning of the final lap just to see where they are in terms of pace. But it feels like Vitorino has been able to respond a little bit as the gap is going back up again. But here's the last lap, Jim, and Kim-Andre Bjortland is on his way to a brilliant victory.
Yeah, great, fantastic run, really. I mean, just well executed. I mean, he took advantage. His pit strategy was good. He took advantage of when Simon pitted. I mean, he really executed perfectly here today.
And Simon Edwards will take a giant step closer to the title with a second place finish with these double points. The driver at the far side of the race as well is Kim-Andre Bjortland, and he also got the points for pole position as well. So it's going to be a big haul of points for the man in your picture. He'll go in front of Bruno Vitorino, move in front of Jamie Bird. He'll only close down the gap on Simon Edwards by a good... What he would get? He would get 64 points with the fast up and pole position points as well as the race win. I think he might even get the points for no incidents. So that'll be good for Bjortland as well. I think it'll be like an 8-point difference between him and... or 6-point difference between him and Edwards in regards to the points they score here.
According to my software, which is never accurate, but it does show him with off tracks. The person it does not show with off tracks is Simon.
Bjortland did have a slowdown at one point.
Yes, that's right. I remember you saying that. Yes, he did. So, yeah, so it may very well be that Simon gets that no incident point.
Which overall helps for Simon Edwards as he continues towards the checker flag en route to the title. He'll have a commanding lead over Kim-Andre Bjortland. He's pretty much won it now, actually, because I think for a round in the Radical Race Series, I think it's something like 63 or 66 points. I think it's 66, and I think with the way things are going, Edwards is going to have something like 80 in hand over his nearest rival, and that will assure him of the championship before we go to Road Atlanta.
Well, that'll be with the championship. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Bjortland has only scored in 8 of the previous races. So this result is going to really close down the margin. Of course, the standings will update in due course after the broadcast is finished. But Simon Edwards is certainly firm favourite to take the championship here.
Yes, clearly. If it is settled, then that'll be kind of interesting, because then the drivers, kind of go in with this more, let's just have some fun mentality instead of trying to guard and protect their championship points and what have you. So
going to interrupt you, Jim,
yep.
because Kim-Andre Bjortland's coming around the recordment chicane for the last time, and it's the Norwegian who claims victory at Le Mans in the Radical Race Series. Well done to the number 88 SR10 driver. He takes the honours in the class ahead of Simon Edwards by over 5 seconds, and then over half a minute behind will be George Gonzaga, who will complete the SR10 podium. Rob Woodward in the SR8s will take the honours as well in that, with Mike Bousson nearly 14 seconds behind and Luke Crowley rounding out the podium. It's been a terrific effort from Robert Woodward, who has made up a lot of ground in the championship standings in the SR8s. And I believe that victory, if he gets the 60 championship points, if it is going to be separate points systems for the classes, then Robert Woodward will move up the table.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I understood it, is that each class has got its own points for this race. So yeah, big win for Robert Woodward right here. Big win. Congratulations to him.
Robert Woodward crosses over the line, and it's victory in the SR8s for him. And hopefully we'll get a word with him before the broadcast is over. Mike Bousson has had a slowdown, but he's got enough in hand over Luke Crowley to finish in second place. Nicely done for Bousson. He had to slow down, because had he got over the line with that slowdown still there, he would have been penalised. So Bousson taking it very carefully in the final corners. Crowley completes the podium, and it's Steve Webb will bring his machine home in 4th place ahead of Colin Wynn, who I think has had a race to forget, considering he was running towards the front end of the field in the SR8s. And then we just wait for the likes of Graham Matthews, Stefan Millis, and Phil Glover to head over the finish line.
Yeah, I agree with you on Collins, and you could see him as soon as he crossed the finish line. He immediately, hit the exit the session button. I think he had his fill there. What effect? Let's see. I want to see something real quick while we're waiting on. This is Gonzaga before the race was over. I think he may have had a little bit of an incident. Nothing major though. Okay, just a little spin. No big deal. Still kept his 3rd place overall finish.
Wait for Phil Glover to head over the line. Stefan Millis has just done so. There is Phil Glover coming through Ford and the recordment for the last time. We'll get a word with Phil Glover actually. We'll have a word with him first, and then we'll make our way through and speak to the class winners. Kim-Andre Bjortland's waiting in the waiting room, but we'll hear from Phil Glover first. But in the meantime, it's a rundown on the race result here at Le Mans, round 11 of the Radical Race Series. Here we go with the final classification. Kim-Andre Bjortland is the winner by over 5 seconds ahead of Simon Edwards. And it's George Gonzalez in 3rd place, Bruno Fitzgerald 4th, and it's Lars-Erik Freideland in 5th. The winner in the SR8, that goes to Robert Woodward, and it's Mike Buson, Luke Crowley, Steve Webb, Colin Wynn, Graham Matthews, and Stefan Millis, with Phil Glover the last to head over the line. And we'll grab a word with Phil Glover now and just talk about his race. I know we spoke to him just after his second start, or after his first one, but we'll grab a word with him now just to how he felt the whole hour endurance event had gone at Le Mans. Phil, hello again. It was a tough race. When did you feel that the fatigue was going for you?
Well, to be honest, I drove okay. I just made some stupid mistakes. Like I hadn't realised I needed to press in the button to begin refueling. So it said, okay, you're done. So I drove off, and then I realised, well, I didn't put any fuel in. So I had to reverse back. And so that lost me. I lost 40 seconds speeding in the pits. I lost at least probably that again, re-getting the fuel. So if I hadn't had those 2 issues, I'd have probably done okay, to be fair.
Le Mans to stay then for the Radical Race Series, yes or no from your point of view?
Well, I really enjoy it. I quite like it. So for me, it'd be okay, but I guess for a commentary point of view, it's a bit of a long haul, isn't it? So I don't know.
And for the last round at Road Atlanta, the last one for this year in this particular championship, how are you feeling for that? And how do you think your season's gone for you?
Probably not as good as last year. I must be well down in the championship points. I think I finished 6th or 7th last year. I would imagine I'm 14th, 15th, something like that. So, yeah, it's probably not been that great, but you know what? I've really enjoyed it, and I really enjoy the support you guys give me as well. So, yeah, it's been fun, and well, it's not over yet. One more race to go, haven't we?
The positive thing to say about that is that you had the ability to finish 14th or 15th, meaning that we had enough people in here this season that we had fields big enough where there was a 14th or 15th, because we've certainly seen times in the past where that was not the case. So this format,
so right, Jim. It's really important.
Yes, very important. This format brought this series back to life, and I love it.
Yeah, without that, the really sad bit would be that we'd all drift apart, and we've kind of built up a relationship over the years, all of us.
Yes.
So, to keep it going for me as much the racing as the camaraderie that we have.
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. And the radical community is great, and this series is doing a wonderful job at bringing all those people back together again. So, well, all right, Phil, we're on James's dime right now, and he's a bit of a miser, so we get on to these other interviews. But it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and we'll see you next week at Road Atlanta, buddy.
You will indeed. Take care, guys. See you later.
Thank you very much, Phil.
You're welcome.
We'll get a word now with the man that finished third in the SR8s today, Luke Crowley. Good evening. How are you? And over the course of 60 minutes, how have you found the experience with these machines?
Yeah, hi guys. Yeah, it was good to be honest. I don't know this track very well, but I do now, so that was nice.
It's a bunch of straightaways with 4 turns. Actually, it's 6.
There's a couple more turns than that, Jim.
I think it's 6 turns, but still. No, I'm playing. I just want to know, let's get down to the real issue at hand. I don't know if you've been listening to the broadcast or not, but I would like for you to explain why you went with that paint scheme and you did not go with a Racer X from Speed Racer paint scheme when you were so close. You were right there. You could have just had Racer X and you didn't, and I'm disappointed.
Because Jim, I must admit I don't know what Racer X is. So
oh my gosh, you never watched
your big
Racer?
scoop. No, never did. That's your big scoop for the evening.
That is. I'm disappointed. Yeah. I'm really disappointed. I'm not a believer anymore. You see what happens?
Oh, no.
You see what happens?
I'll have to go and have a look at it then, won't I?
Well, it's an old cartoon, but it's just to make the long and the short of it, there was Speed Racer and there was Racer X, who was the masked racer, and secretly he was Speed Racer's brother, but nobody knew that. And he used to run this really cool paint scheme where he had a yellow car with a black X across it, and he had a black X across his mask as well. So once you see how cool Speed Racer looks, you can end up fixing your paint scheme up, and and then
I'll have a look for you then, Jim.
Yes, you're gonna like it. If you like that paint scheme you're running now, you're gonna like Racer X's paint scheme. But quick question, and we're going to move on because we are on James's dime this week, since this is a longer race. But are you Le Mans? Yes or no? Another season, another race here. Would you rather see this somewhere else?
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
Okay.
I really did. I think since I switched to the 8, I really enjoyed the last sector. The 8 just kind of grips around the Porsche curves. It's nice. Really feels really nice and flowy, and you can proper.
Why did you make that switch? Just out of curiosity's sake, since you typically.
Curiosity's sake, I think. Okay. I just wanted to see what it was like on the other side.
Yeah.
But I'm quite enjoying it. I've always been a big believer of the SR10 being the nicer car to drive, but it's all right. It's pretty cool. It's nice to have a bit of a change. So.
For me personally, I prefer driving the SR8 because it requires more momentum, keeping the momentum of the car up, and it doesn't rely as much on the horsepower. And for me, with a lead foot, the 10 can get away from me a lot quicker than the 8 can. You know what I mean? So for me, it fits my driving style more to drive the 8.
That's fair. The 10's always going to be my baby, but I do race it a lot, so it's nice to race something a little bit different, even if it is somewhat similar.
Right. No, but they do drive different, though.
They do, yeah.
It's a completely kind of different way to drive them. But it's good to see you stop in and visit with us, and I'm hopeful that you're going to go at least research who Racer X is now. And
I will.
If nothing
Jim.
else, culturally, I have improved you now, because now you're going to go look up who Speed Racer and Racer X are.
Nice one. Cheers, Jim.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Luke. And we'll now grab a word with the man that finished runner-up in the SR10s, the champion-elect Simon Edwards. Hello, Simon. Long time since we've spoken to each other, actually. But how do you think Le Mans had gone for you?
It's good. I like lapping the track, but it must have been really boring with me and Kim just going, well, who's going to save the most fuel? And I'm a bit rubbish at saving fuel, as you could tell.
I mean, it wasn't quite that. I'll say it was. You know, you two were pretty close to each other for most of the race, and you know, as it was, you know, you were the best battle on track for the majority of the event. So there was that, but and the drama did come down to your last pit stop, where you gonna, or his last pit stop, to see if you were going to be able to catch him before he got out. And it was, so that made it entertaining up to the end for sure.
Yeah, luckily there was only 2 laps after that, a bit of boringness of us apart. Yeah, and then he sticks a taking the Mickey lap in at the end there. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Paul LeMay was in chat with us the whole time, and he suggested that Interlagos might have been a better track for this endurance event.
Maybe, yeah. But George had his little heart on it, and I thought, if we get a fair few people here, we could maybe make this work.
Yeah, and again, it was entertaining. It just, it's just Le Mans. I mean, unless you have 60 cars here, they're going to get strung out. This track's just so big that's what happens here, and but it is Le Mans, and there is definitely, this track is fun to drive. It may not be the best track to watch, but it is absolutely a fun track to drive for sure.
Yeah, hopefully we've had our fix for more than a year now, Jim. You can rest in peace.
Well, I've done it twice Tom and I have done it twice in 2 seasons now. So we did it in the SR8s last season, and then this season. So yeah, we're probably good on Le Mans for a while, when in the radicals, So we'll take Interlagos next season. That'd be a good one. I'll take Interlagos over a lot of tracks, if I'm being honest.
Me too, but a lot of people don't want to do it. But it's a lovely track. It's for racing and
it's
driving.
One of the very few tracks in all of the world that no matter what car you put on it, it produces good racing. There are very few tracks like that, and it is one of them. No matter what car.
It can produce last lap drama as well, can't it? And,
sure. Sure. Tom, I'm sure you've got something. I've been dominating the conversation here.
Yeah, I just want to ask about how your season's gone, Simon, because I haven't always been involved in the Radical Race series from time to time. But just over the course of the season, with the first 11 rounds, I've still got 1 round to go at Road Atlanta. Describe your season, and do you think you've made a step up, or is it just more of the same of the Simon Edwards that we know?
I've had to step up a bit because the competition stepped up. So that's been good to keep me focused on, good bit of practice in the week. I have been doing the SR8 setups as well and making those for people. But I think that's sharpened me up a bit anyway, if you know what I mean, flipping between the cars. It's kept the edge of the knowledge of how to make the cars go quick. Not as quick as Kim, but quick enough. Yeah.
He is quick, that's for sure.
Which leads on to my question. Is there anyone you want to shout out to before we let you go? I can imagine one person you're going to give a shout out to.
Who would that be? Would it be Kim?
It would be Kim, yeah.
Yeah, Kim. Yeah, I mean, he's been excellent all season, hasn't he? And I think next season I've probably had it. He's probably going to get us. But I'll take this chance this season, and it's good. And George as well, keeping this league going.
Yes.
So I know he's thinking of maybe changing the format a little bit next season, but we'll see what people want, really. Yeah.
Well,
excellent. Well, Simon,
I want something that's going to keep the radical community together. I love the fact that I'm seeing the SR10 and the SR8 guys who had kind of grown apart come back together like it used to be back in the old days, and whatever it's going to take to make that happen, I would, I'm all for that. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah.
Right, Simon, one hand on the trophy. Best of luck at Road Atlanta next week, and hopefully we'll see you come out on top with another championship.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'll see you next week.
We'll get a word with tonight's race winner, the man from Norway, Kim Andre Bjortland, coming out on top by over 5 seconds over the man that we've just spoken to. Kim, good evening.
Good evening.
I don't suppose that race was easy for you by any stretch of the imagination, was it?
Not easy. It's never easy on a track with this much draft because you can't really pull away. I had the gap but made a small mistake and almost put it in the wall, so I'm just happy to be able to still be in the fight for the win. And yeah.
With the SR10s, what have you learnt with this machine maybe compared to the SR8s? Have you had any experience in the SR8s?
Not much. The SR8s are fun to drive in the other way. It's not as lively as the SR10, so I prefer the SR10 because it takes more of the driver, I think. The SR8 just sticks to the road.
Okay. And in regards to this season, how do you rate it from your point of view? Do you think you've stepped up from the previous season?
This is my first season in this league,
Okay.
so
I mean, that's fair enough.
So yes, he's definitely better than he was last season in this car. Oh yeah, no, it's good to have you in this series. You've been a breath of fresh air. Obviously, this series is kind of bouncing back from but I love the multi-class thing that we're doing here, and it has definitely been good to have you in this series. It's always good to have somebody who can jump up there and compete with the big boys up front. And Simon is. It's for years we've been talking about Simon dominating, and it's nice to have somebody to come in that he has to work to race with. So that's good.
Yeah, it's been really fun. It's extremely fun to fight Simon. He's fighting hard but fair.
Yes.
I think I'm trying to do the same thing, and yeah, it's a lot of smiles when driving with Simon.
Right. Yeah, that's it's a lot of smiles for us watching you two race against each other. So yeah, congratulations on your victory today, and maybe got one more race to go, and that should be a blast. Road Atlanta should be fun in these cars, don't you think?
Yeah, the Road Atlanta is always fun in these cars.
Yep.
I think I have to work on the setup for that track.
Yeah.
I can't show up with this setup, at least.
No. This one won't work there. Be fun to watch that. What I love about you too is the fact that you run a lower downforce setup than Simon does, apparently, which is unheard of till you came along. I've never heard of anybody running a lower downforce setup than Simon. He's always kind of been known for that. So I thought that was pretty interesting when I found out that you were running a lower downforce setup than him. So more power to you. That's tough to do because he runs them pretty low.
Yeah, he said so. And he said anything below 6, I think, rear wing is almost undrivable, but I were on 2, so.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And yeah. Nothing at the front.
Wow, that's crazy. That's amazing. I'm gonna go set mine up like that just to see how hard that is to drive. All right, buddy.
You need to you need to do some work on on
a lot
of dampers and everything else too. So
yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to fall short in one category, and that's talent. So that's what I don't have is the talent. That's why I'm doing this instead of racing with you guys. But again, congratulations, and looking forward to seeing you next week. Anybody you want to shout out to while we got you here? Or?
Of course, the other guys I'm racing with, and you guys streaming it to everyone who want to watch us, and of course the rest of my team who's helping me.
All right, buddy. We'll see you next week at Road Atlanta.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to Kim Andre Bjorklund, who's taken victory here at Le Mans, both in the SR10s and overall. Congratulations to him as he moves up to second place overall in the standings. Jim, we'll get one final word from you on what you've seen tonight, and maybe over the course of the season so far, because you've been here for a lot of the way. What have you seen different here tonight compared to the previous rounds?
Well, I think, this is obviously not the most... the most exciting track to broadcast a race from. You don't have door banging action and stuff like that. It was fun to watch the guys make pit stops. It is Le Mans. It's historic. All of those things. As a driver, though, for the most part, they enjoyed it. I think. I think the better the driver, the more they have a tendency to, not get as excited about this place. But overall, it's a good race. It was an interesting format. I liked it. I'm looking forward to Road Atlanta next week. I'm looking forward to these cars being balanced again and racing against each other. It's just it's been a good season overall. A lot of fun, and I don't have to, I've said it a million times, I'm thrilled to see this community coming back together, and I just hope that they stick with something that keeps all these guys in the Radical community together.
Will we see more of this format in the near future at various circuits? We shall see. Jim, thank you so much for your company tonight, as always. And thank you to everyone that's tuned in, including Paul LeMay, who's taken the time to share his thoughts on the event itself. And good to hear from you as well, Paul. Thank you very much. And if you enjoyed it, do make sure you like and subscribe to the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel itself. And you can keep right up to date with everything that's been streamed on here. To go with it. And it's time to bring this broadcast to an end, and a good victory from Kim Andre Bjorklund. Will he keep it that way at Road Atlanta for the season finale, as Simon Edwards has one hand on the SR10's championship trophy? I'm Tom Cairns with Jim Cunningham, and we'll speak to you again soon when the Radical Race Series returns.